surplus, which means when quantity demanded is greater than quantity supplied, right? So let's talk about it. We understand all these through a graph here. So we have the market, right? And then the market is in equilibrium at 2, quantity 7. What if the price decreases? Price decreases, what we have here? We have supply 4, demand on the demand curve, demand 10. So demand is more than quantity, demand is greater than quantity supplied. This is shortage, right? Shortage occur when the market price is less than equilibrium price. See, equilibrium price is 2, market price right now 1.5. So what is the managerial discussion, managerial decision, that how you are going to manage this kind of situation? So supply is less, you start increasing the price. If you increase the price here, you see demand is decreasing, supply is increasing. Law of supply states that when price increase, you supply more. Price is increasing, you producing more. Demand states that when price increase, quantity decrease. So price is increasing, quantity demanded is decreasing. So this is how we are going towards equilibrium, right? Or the third definition of shortages, it is under the equilibrium. Shortages under the equilibrium. So this triangle, this is called shortage. Understand? Kiran and PD, Gustavo?
Yes.
Good. So we have this activity. Please draw on one label. First, draw the market. It means you need to draw like this on the same plane, not like this. This is demand and this is supply. No. Draw on one plane and find out whether there is, equilibrium or not. I am giving you 10 minutes to do that. Your time starts now. And don't forget to write your name on the top of that page. Meanwhile, I am just stopping the recording so that I don't waste our 10 minutes by just talking nothing. Okay, guys. Okay, let's talk about this solution. So if you make a graph here, so find out that at 16, when the price is 16, there is a shortage. There is a shortage? You see quantity demanded are 1750 and supplied is 500, right? So it means the quantity demanded is greater than the quantity supplied. So on the graph, it should be, let me change the color here. So it should be here, above the equilibrium. So that would be your, oh, sorry, that is shortage. Shortage would be, my bad. Let me erase this. So if this is the equilibrium, so on equilibrium, this would be the quantity of equilibrium, this is the price. So shortage would be like here, right? So this triangle would be shortage. Sorry, you cannot write properly. Just giving you the answer, why is that one? And at price 20, you see, there's a surplus. How? Demand is 500, supply is 1900. It means quantity demanded is less than quantity supplied, or quantity supplied is greater than. So question is written otherwise. Quantity demanded is less than quantity supplied. So answer would be A. Right, guys? And it would be above the equilibrium. So it would be above the equilibrium. So this part, right?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a book example here. I just want you to pause the video and try to solve it. You can also solve it, right now. It is the same example that we just did that. So you see the price, quantity demanded, and this one. If you graph this, graph would be looking like this one. So don't worry about that. So if the actual price of the market is above the equilibrium means we are talking about surplus or shortage? Surplus. So if you see you want to see here, where is the equilibrium? Equilibrium is here. So if the market price is up, if actual price is above the equilibrium here, so you see here, supply is greater than demand. So there would be surplus, right? So you can write down there is surplus. If the actual price in the market is above the equilibrium means, below the equilibrium, Below the equilibrium means price less than equilibrium, which means 4, 5. So you see here at 4, supply is 26, demand is 135. It means there is shortage. Understand, guys?
Yes.
This is how you reply these kind of questions. So we don't have much time, so I'm just gonna skip that one. We don't do it in detail, but I gave you when we just pause the recording, I make you understand how to make a graph, how to find out quantity, and what do we mean by surplus and what do we mean by shortage. And now law of supply and demand. So when you combine the law of supply and law of demand, so it states that the price of any good adjusts to bring the quantity supplied and quantity demanded into balance. What does it mean? It means no matter where you are, you have to come back to equilibrium. So if the price is above the equilibrium price, it automatically goes down, right? Because market adjusts itself to the equilibrium. So if you want to find out the equilibrium, there are 3 steps. Number 1, remember that one. Number 1, decide whether this is the case of demand or supply, right? Then decide the direction, whether this is shift right or shift to the left, and then find out new equilibrium. Simple. So 3-step process is, number first, find out this is a case of demand or supply, and then decide that this case increase the demand. Increase means shift to the right, demand side right, or supply right. You have to find out the direction and then find out new equilibrium, right? So I'm just going to give you some hint. So if the question says change in supply, it means we're talking about supply shift. If the question mentions change in quantity supplied, if the word is quantity there, it means we're talking about the movement. If the question mentioned there is increase in supply, it means we're talking about shift. Increase means shift to the right. Right? If the question mentioned only supply, it means this is a case of shift. If the question mentioned quantity supplied, the word quantity is added, it means we're talking about movement. So same goes with the demand. If there is demand word in the question, it means we are talking about shift in demand. If there is a word quantity added to the demand, we are talking about the movement. So let's not waste time and try to do that. So this is the market, right? The market of ice cream, right? The price of ice cream, quantity of ice cream. So right now the equilibrium price is 2 and quantity is 7. Now what happened? Hot weather increases the demand for ice cream. So it means price is the same, but demand is increased. So this is a case of, first, number 1 rule. This is a case of Write down the 3-step. This is a case of demand, T. So write down the direction, increase or decrease. The question mentioned increase. Increase means shift to the
Right.
right. It means you need to make a demand. Demand shift to the right. Right? Find out the equilibrium, new equilibrium. So that is your equilibrium. What happened to the equilibrium? Now the equilibrium price increases from 2 to above, and quantity of equilibrium also increases. So we have a new equilibrium. Understand? Again, let me explain one more time. Hot weather increases the demand for ice cream. This is the market for ice cream, demand and supply together, right? But one event happened. That event is hot weather increases the demand for ice cream. It means people taste changes, right? So when people taste changes, people taste changes, people want more ice cream, price remains the same. Then what happened? We have to make a new demand curve. The question says increases the demand. The question didn't say increases the quantity demanded, okay? So it means this is a case of shift. So write down the 3-step of finding new equilibrium. Number 1, this is a case of demand or supply. The question mentioned demand, so we have to play with the demand curve. This is demand, right? And now, increase in demand means shift to the right. Find out increase to the right, find out new equilibrium. New equilibrium would be that equilibrium price would be greater than 2 and equilibrium quantity would be greater than 7, right? We don't have the actual data, so we would be writing down here the actual data, but we know the new market analysis would be the price going to increase and equilibrium quantity would be increasing, right guys? If we have the data right here, we have 10. So now the equilibrium price increases from 2 to 2.5 and the equilibrium quantity also increases to 7 to 10, right? We have a now new equilibrium. Now the market will sustain or remain at 10 quantity, but the price is going to be 2.5. So result will be higher price, higher quantity. Understand? So this is law of demand and supply together, law of supply and demand together, okay? And law of demand and supply together says that the price, the market go back to its equilibrium. Any event happen, market go back to its equilibrium. That doesn't mean that go back to its original or previous equilibrium. Equilibrium changes, but market would always remain in equilibrium. Understand? If there is temporary shortage, it will respond to the shortage and will go back to equilibrium. That doesn't mean that it will go back to its previous equilibrium. Permanen, Gustavo, PD, understand?
Yes.
Okay, if you understand this one, let's talk about the next one. This is